Hi, I'm Tiffany,
And I'm Sarah.
and this is the Clean Romance Podcast. We're going to break down 5-star reads, hot button topics, and what makes clean romance shine. I'm really excited today. We are going to be talking about, is reading romance good for your marriage? I'm very, very excited about this topic.
I I love this because for me, it has been good for my marriage, but then it also probably has been bad for my marriage in some ways. So I am excited to dig into this. But first, we have are we going to start with a question, or are we going to start with just like a recap of life?
Well, Sarah I don't have anything to recap right now, but Sarah took an unplanned dismount
Yes.
yesterday, which for those who are not horse people, that means she fell off her horse yesterday. So you want to tell us about that, Sarah? Like what happened?
Okay.
And this is just for people who are not horse people. Like I hear all the time people are like, "Oh, I rode a horse and I fell off and like therefore I hate horses and riding." And I think people who don't get horse people, like they think like, "Oh, you just haven't fallen off before." And it's just like that is a normal part of riding is that you do fall off and anyway,
Yeah.
tell us about it,
It's a
Sarah.
super normal part, except the older you get and the longer you ride. So I've been on the back of a horse consistently many times a week since I was like 11 years old. So at this point, I have developed, we call it Velcro in our butt. It is hard for me, for a horse to get me off, thank God. But also, as I age, we just don't bounce, right? I was on my horse yesterday, who is a young thoroughbred off the track, except he's not that young anymore. He just turned 8. And 8 is supposed to be it's supposed to be the age when they have their brains intact, which means like 95% of the time we've got a good horse. So maybe yesterday was just my 5%, but anyway, he spooked, which means that's like horse speak for he got afraid of something, and he just gets in these modes where I can tell like I am on a kite of a horse and he's literally seeking things to spook at. And his little ears are just like zoning, looking for things to spook at. And these dogs came bounding into the arena. And I was like, here it goes. And I sat back and I put my heels down, which normally is the anchor of your seat. But my horse is very quick. And he did this to me 2 years ago. Actually, it was January 2 years ago that he did it. All I can surmise, because it happened so fast, there's no like, oh no, I'm falling. It's literally I'm 6 inches from the ground as I realize, "Oh, dang, he got
Yeah,
me off." I ride in a safety vest because I'm 41.
smart.
I don't bounce like I used to, and I mostly fell on my torso, totally fine, kinda knocked the breath out of me for a second, but dang, my knee hurts, and so I think that maybe my knee twisted, like, I don't know, but it's funny and painful because this is just part of horses.
Oh my gosh. Horse people, I will say, are a different breed.
I mean, it's so funny. Okay, I've just fallen off my horse. My knee freaking hurts. And I'm catching my breath. And my initial and only true concern is, "Oh, now I have to tell Joey." And who's my husband.
Gosh,
And
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and if I have to have surgery, Joey's gonna be so mad. He's a little more risk averse than I am. And Caitlin, my friend at the barn, goes, "Well, how many surgeries have you had? And how many surgeries has he had?"
Right, yeah,
Anyway, but that is marriage. I'm not even
yes.
worried about being hurt. I'm worried about telling my husband that I'm hurt.
That's hilarious. Well, my mom has expressed the same thing. Like when she's taken a spill, she's been like, "Oh, now I have to tell your dad."
Yes! Is your dad not a
Because
horse person?
no, what's
Oh,
funny is that he, for years and years, his business was a feed store and barn supplies, but he himself is not a horse person, you know? but very, very horse adjacent.
I imagine if his business is horse feed store, he's seen a lot of people, like, hobble into the feed store.
Yeah. Yeah. But still, with your wife, you're protective and, you know, don't care about the horse if it's hurting the person you love most in the world.
Right. Okay, we got really long. All the
Yeah,
non-horse
yeah,
people
yeah.
are like, "Okay, let's move
Yeah.
on with this." Sorry,
Okay,
guys, if you get me talking about horses, I can't stop.
should we talk about our question for the day?
Yes.
What is a word you've read forever, but you didn't realize how it was actually pronounced until recently or much later?
Okay.
So,
Yeah, you go first.
oh, sorry.
Oh.
No, I'll let you go first. I've been talking for a while.
Okay, well, I am like, I know this is a thing. I know it is, but I can't think of any. But I've heard things in audiobooks where narrators say the word incorrectly,
Yeah,
and it's always horse related, honestly. I'm sorry for the non-horse people again. But so in my audiobook, my narrator said the word brittle, but it's supposed to be bridle. And I sat on it for weeks as I was reviewing the book, and I was like, "It's fine, it's fine." And then it just was eating my insides, and I was like, "I need you to fix this, please. Could you
yeah,
just
yeah,
re-record so it says bridle and not brittle?" Um, and my husband, I have words that like my husband said the word curmudgeon one time, and I made so much fun of him because I was like, "That's the book. I mean, that's a word you only hear in books. Like you only read
right,
it."
right, yeah.
And ever since he said curmudgeon, I feel like I see that word everywhere, and occasionally I'll actually use it. So joke's on me because I've added it to my vocabulary.
That's amazing.
Okay,
Curmudgeon.
yes,
Curmudgeonly, I feel like I see that a decent amount.
yeah,
My
it's a good word. I mean,
I agree, it's descriptive. You get
it
what
is.
the word is trying to say.
Yeah, it gives you the feeling, like yeah, it's
Okay, but
almost
spelling it, like, I'm trying to think, like, how do you spell curmudgeon? I definitely would
yes.
misspell it the first time.
Now that we're saying it, I'm like, is it curmudgeon or curmudgeon? But I think it's curmudgeon.
Curmudgeon, and I think it's Geon, and anyway. Okay, my word is ethereal. So I would read that word. Like, I feel like, especially like in fantasy books and
Yeah.
stuff like that, you see that word a lot. And so I knew that word, I knew what it meant, but I had never heard it spoken and I had never said it aloud until I was in college and I said ethereal to my dad. And my dad was like, that is not
That's
the
not a
word.
word.
Like, what are you trying to say? And I'm like, ethereal, like, so, and he was just like, no, no, it's ethereal. But even now, however many 20 years later, I feel like I still read it in my brain like ethereal and then have
Right.
to convert the word to ethereal.
Because it's ingrained in your head. And
It is
I
ingrained in my head. Yeah.
I just want to say like I know I have these and I just can't remember any of them. So one day I'm going to see one and then I'll talk about it in the podcast. So be sure to subscribe people so that when I find my words that I have messed up my whole life, I can tell you. Maybe I haven't
Yes.
found out yet. Maybe I'm still saying them wrong in my
Ooh.
head.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so there's another
let it
one you told me about that was really good.
oh, it
That
was
your friend
a friend
mhm.
in high school, instead of saying Episcopal, would say Episcopal. And, like, to this day, I feel like I still sometimes have to think about it. Like, I'm like, Episcopal, Episcopal, instead of Episcopal.
So much because we talked about this a little while ago, and when I go home to Mississippi, there's churches everywhere, and when I see the Episcopal church, my brain now says Episcopal. It really, like, stuck in my head, Episcopal. It's kind of fun to say,
Yes. It really
Episcopal.
is, it really is. Well, let us know if you're listening. Let us know on Instagram if you've read a word forever and knew what it meant, but hadn't pronounced it correctly. At the Clean Romance Podcast, we want to know, or put it in the comments wherever you're listening.
Or if you know me and you've heard me mispronounce a word, call me out. I want to know because I know I have. I just don't remember what they are.
Yep. Well, should we get into our topic for the
Let's get
day?
into it. I'm ready.
So, one thing that I was thinking about and wanted to talk about is before we jump into this topic, like, is this topic that we're talking about relevant for unmarried women? So, obviously, our podcast is for anyone who reads clean romance, which includes married women and unmarried women, and maybe a couple men. I don't know.
I don't know either.
But is this relevant
Did we introduce the
only for
topic? I can't remember. Like, did we tell everybody that we're talking about marriage and books?
at the very beginning?
We did.
Yeah, we did.
Okay. I
But
have
we
a
can
short-term memory, I guess.
reintroduce it.
Okay. um, I I think that's a good, valid question. And as someone who has written a book about that focuses on an already married couple, I always find it fascinating when non-married people read my book, and then I question myself because I'm reading books all the time about non-married people. So why should I be shocked when someone is opposite? They're not married and they're reading about married people. Anyway, I think I didn't even answer your question correctly. I
Well,
think I jumped to a different question that you hadn't
no,
asked
no,
yet.
I think that makes sense. Like,
Okay.
is this relevant for unmarried women talking about is reading romance harmful for your marriage, good for your marriage? Like, how does it affect your marriage? And then, like, why is that relevant for unmarried women who might be
Okay.
listening today?
So my thing on for the unmarried people is it's first of all, are you planning to stay unmarried? If you're not married, a lot of women I know, not everyone, but a lot of them hope to become married if they're not,
Yeah,
and it or even if they don't hope to, you never know. I never thought I would get married when I got married. Um and so this might be something that could be useful down the road.
yeah.
What do you think, Tiffany?
I agree. But also, I do think that there are principles that we're going to talk about today that are just good principles for life. And I am excited to talk about that. And I think specifically for Christian women who are listening, I do think that there are things we're going to talk about today um, in reading romance that are very applicable to just our lives, our character, what we focus on and stuff like that. And I do think there's something here for anyone who might be listening.
Right. That's I think the things that make you a good wife or help your marriage grow are a lot of times the same things that help you be a good daughter or a good mom or a good sister or friend.
Yeah.
It's just
Or just
that
a follower of Jesus.
yeah,
Like, yeah,
right. It's just, I think things get magnified when you're living under the same roof for
yeah,
the rest of your life.
yeah, it's true.
So,
That is true.
yeah, it's like the eternal sleepover. I love to call marriage a sleepover with
Yeah.
my best friend
Yeah.
forever. But like, I remember being a kid and I had some throwdowns with my best friend too,
Uh
right?
huh.
Like, you
Uh
have too
huh.
much time
Yeah.
together and you're
Yep.
stop being nice to each other and stuff. And so I see that happening in marriages as well.
Definitely.
So yeah, I you know what, Tiffany, I just started talking and got lost in our questions.
Okay, here we'll start this out by saying, how can reading romance be good for your marriage? Like, before we jump into the like, how could it be harmful? Like, what are some positive aspects of reading romance in relation to being married?
Okay. So I will share my personal story when I first I had kind of stopped reading for like a decade. I was only reading self-help books. And my husband and I were in marriages kind of go in cycles, all right? So we were in a little bit of a tough cycle and my kids were little, which adds to the tough cycle. And I felt like we were just kind of like ships passing in the night, we were in full on survival mode. And I got really into reading romance. And it was 99% all clean romance. So, I'm reading about these relationships growing and about love and all, all these warm fuzzies. And for a minute, I'm thinking, gosh, I sure wish my marriage was like this. And then because I've read a lot of self help books, I knew that sometimes when you want something, you need to be the one to initiate it. And so instead of sitting around thinking, gosh, I wish my husband treated me like this, I started treating him like the girls in the books treat their men. And he was like, I don't know what's happening, but I love it. And it really helped re-spark our marriage and get us excited to be together again and to spend time together. And I think a lot of times too, like he probably wasn't feeling loved, right? Like he was probably wishing I loved him more because I wasn't showing him love well. Where I'm sitting there thinking, I wish he showed me love better. And so when I started showing him love, then he started showing it back. And it just really helped revive our marriage. And so I'm a big fan of romance on a healthy level.
Yeah, that's awesome. That
Yeah.
is a great testimony, honestly.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that I'll add to that for me anyway, when I read romance is just like an appreciation for love and romance. Like I love love and reading about it, writing about it, talking about it, it does make me reflect on my own romance and like how Tyler and I met and what the falling in love process was like and it keeps me more in touch with that and more grateful for that in my relationship with him. And so I do think it can be beneficial in that way.
Yes. But then I feel like whether it's beneficial or not, a lot of times just becomes it's based on where we are in our own heads,
True.
right? Like,
That's true.
because for us, like, we look at love and we look at these couples and we think, okay, how can we emulate it? But you can just as easily be like, well, my husband sucks because he doesn't do this and he doesn't treat me like the men in these books. And, like it can be, it's two sides of the same coin. And it really just depends on what side you're choosing to be on, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about that more. Like how can reading romance be harmful for your marriage?
Um,
Like expound on that a little bit
Yeah,
more.
I mean, I really think a lot of it is just because we as women, like it creates a comparison, right? Of like my husband is not like that, my husband doesn't do these things or my boyfriend or whatever. I don't even want my daughter reading romance until she's much older and much more mature because I don't know that her brain will be able to say like differentiate between book boyfriend and real life.
Yeah.
And, like, until she's mature enough, I don't want her reading romance. Like, we're sticking to Harry Potter level romance, right? Where you have to read
Right,
7
right.
books to get to one, like, hint of a romance in the very end of the last
Yeah.
book. Um, and so, anyway, I think it really just it's like our headspace, and if we're gonna sit there and talk and convince ourselves that our husbands are terrible because they aren't just like this book boyfriend, then it's not gonna help anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that one thing I was thinking about is I do believe as women, one of the things that we are most easily tempted by is discontentment. Like, think
Mhm.
about even just like Eve in the garden. Like, she's got everything that she could possibly need. And yet she sees something that she doesn't have that she wants. And she's discontent. And I
Right.
think that that is still our struggle today is with discontentment. And I think that reading romance can create a headspace of discontentment. And I do think that it's something as Christian women reading romance, we have to fight against and be
Right.
intentional about.
I totally agree. And we might find ourselves so to me, okay, this is like we're going a little bit off the rails just a smidge. To me, an addiction is when I say, um, I'm not feeling good about something, so I'm gonna use this to make me feel better. And so, like, for me, like, if I'm talking about a glass of wine, like, on the nights that I just am at my wit's end and I am just so frustrated and I think I just want a glass of wine, those are the nights I don't let myself have a glass of wine because I don't want the wine to be like, I need to learn to handle stuff on my own and I don't want this crutch. Well, reading has been that for me sometimes. And yes, it's a much healthier addiction than alcohol, right? And no one is going to say, "Oh, your reading is bad," especially when you're reading like clean romance, right? There's nothing wrong with what we're reading, but if it is becomes like your escape instead of facing what needs to be faced and learning to handle your emotions and learning to handle life.
Yeah.
Now, but there's a balance. Like it is
Yeah.
a gift, like it's a gift and sometimes it's okay to escape. And I don't know. I don't have a clear answer for this of like what is the good level and what's the bad level,
Right.
but I know for myself in my heart there are times that it's like it's a gift to go just sit and read a book and check out for a little while, but there are times that I've done it on an unhealthy level too.
Yeah. Same. I relate to what you're saying so much. And I think I think about the verse where it says, guard your heart, for it is a wellspring of life. Like, it is our responsibility as Christian women, as readers, to guard our hearts and be in touch with where our hearts are at. And I think if we're being tempted to compare, to um disparage in our minds our husbands or our marriages or what, whatever it is, our bodies, our lives, like, if reading is making you discontent not just with your marriage but like any part of your life, like, that is a spiritual battle that we have to face and
Right.
be aware of. And um I think one aspect of it, just as we have to remember as readers, is that this is fake. It's not
Right.
real. And something that helps me sometimes when I am tempted to be discontent is that most of the time, like 99% of the books that I read are written by women who are writing men. And so they are not real men in these stories. Like, you can get as close as possible, and be as authentic as possible. But at the end of the day, this is a woman writing a man doing what a woman wants that man to do.
Yes. It is so true. And it's like, yeah, even your perfect book boyfriend was probably created by a woman. Like he does not
Yes.
exist. He's
Yes.
her perfect book boyfriend too. That's so true. I love it. I also love that, like you said, back to the good part, how you said you just love love. I mean, I remember reading in my Bible about, love is patient, love is kind, it does not boast, and all this stuff. And I realized that's that's why we love romance. That's why I think I know not all women are drawn to it, but a lot of women are drawn to romance because it's biblical. Like the greatest commandment is love, right? We are to love one another and to love God. And the greatest romance is the romance between God and his people. And so it's kind of like we're living out little pieces of how who God created us to be and the love that he put in our hearts. But sometimes we just take it to an unhealthy level.
Yeah. I agree. I love that, and I think that's so beautiful. And when we say, "Oh, we love love," or "We love romance," like, that is a reflection of God's heart in us. Like, God is love, and I think it's a beautiful thing that should be celebrated. But like any good thing on this earth has to be within appropriate boundaries. Like, any
Right.
good thing can be taken to an extreme or too far.
Mhm.
And I think that we are responsible as Christian women, as readers, to know where our boundaries are and to balance. Like, if we're avid readers, like, we need to be making sure that we're balancing our reading of romance with reading of the scriptures, of being with
Right.
other people. I do think a lot of us avid readers can tend to be on the introverted side. I know that's not you, Sarah, but that's a reality that we can want to like shut down and just be in a book because that's easier for us. And I
Right.
think it's something to balance like, hey, I need to be with other people and be with the body of Christ and be, you know what I mean? Like it
Yes.
everything, every good thing needs to be balanced and,
Yes.
you know,
It's so
including
easy
reading.
to right. It's so easy to lose sight of the creator when we get really excited about creation, right? Like, this is something
Yes.
I've learned and struggled with horses, but I see it in every facet, like, even our kids, like, we can get so obsessed with our kids and controlling, like, anyway, it's a whole other thing, but, like, we take these good things, these beautiful gifts, and we put them on a pedestal higher than our creator, and I think reading is the same thing. It's this beautiful thing. God gave us the gift of stories and storytelling, and anyway, and this it just reminds me, to me, we talked in a recent episode about having Christian elements in a book, and I think this is one reason I love having reading books with Christian elements, because it helps me remember, like, when I'm reading this book, yeah, it's not like there's something more important than these characters, and it just kind of helps me stay grounded. So um okay, so we're going to talk about marriage and books today.
Yep.
So, is this something that you have read much of? Books that like romance that focuses on married people?
So no.
There's not a lot of it out there.
There isn't a lot of it out there, especially not in our clean romance space. I think I've read what would be considered women's fiction with already married couples and historical fiction, other genres that are not
Right.
specifically romance, but I think that um I can only think of a handful of examples. And one of them is the book that you wrote, All the Things That Come Between Us, which is a rom com about an already married couple. And it is a romance. Like it is that, you know?
Okay, good.
So,
Because it was hard. It was hard to
yeah,
like really focus on romance in this.
right, right. I can imagine. Yeah. So, Sarah, can you tell us a little bit like what made you decide to write a rom com about an already married couple?
Okay, so this for me, I before this, my only books had been nonfiction. I had written Finding Gideon, which is my memoir, and a few other things. And I really wanted to write I really wanted to write fiction. I read a lot of fantasy. In this dream world, I would write fantasy, but I actually don't feel like I'm that creative of a person. But I was in a lot of prayer over it, and I would just, in my prayers be like, God, I'd love to write fiction. Can I write fiction? Like, can I even do this? But I just have never had ideas. Like when I was a painter in high school, all of my art was very realistic based on real pictures or real life items. So my books are the same. They were, based on real things that actually happened. And so I just kind of thought I'm probably never going to be able to write fiction. And then literally one day it was like a cartoon, in the cartoon when they like crack open the top of a head and then like pour something into it. So it was like the top half of my head was cracked open and God poured like a full series into my brain,
Mm,
and it all focused on already married couples. And at the moment, it was just an idea from God. I mean, just like that's a big deal.
yeah.
As I started to percolate over it and really just dwell on this idea of writing about already married people, for one, I knew it would be really hard for marketing. And I was like, that is not the smartest thing to write something that I know from the get go is going to be hard to market. Um, but I started to see how important it was. And I started to realize, we as women kind of like we already mentioned, we tend to get addicted to reading, and we're diving into reading and we're comparing our relationships with these like brand new baby relationships. It's not even fair to compare a marriage of
That's
20
true.
years to,
Right.
the falling in love stage. It's not even fair. And And so I started to get actually quite passionate about writing about married couples and really passing on that to for people. I wanted women to read a book and instead of dreaming about a meet cute in a coffee shop, because once you're married, it's till death do us part. And if you follow, if you keep that vow, like you ain't having another meet cute in a coffee shop. Hopefully, for God willing, you both stay healthy and live a good long life. Like you're not going to have another meet cute in a coffee shop. So I wanted a book that had women look to the guy inside, like next to them in bed, instead of dreaming of something new. And so that is my book. All the things that come between us is the first. I'm writing the second one right now, but the first one is just, it's kind of a very, I hate to use the word generic, but it's kind of what I saw people all around me struggling with and what my own marriage struggled with, in the sense of like when you're married and you have little kids, it is just hard.
Yeah.
And, I've read a lot, well, not a lot because I haven't found that many, but I've read a few books about already married couples, and most of them go really deep into, like, I mean, this marriage is, like, on the fringes, and it is
Right.
painful, and you are, I mean, as a reader, don't we read to experience these things, right? So I am like, my insides are like cracked open, and it's making me kind of fearful for my marriage and stuff reading these stories. And so I realized, I don't want to say I kept mine shallow, but I would say they're not at that point. Like, this is more, it's something very relatable. And at this point of like, the marriage could very easily go south. Like, it could very easily not last a year, or they can make different choices and they can rebuild their relationship. And so I'm kind of keeping mine so far, all my relationships in this, like, they're in the shallow end of trouble. So like, this is
Yeah.
real, they're not communicating well, they're having a hard time loving each other, but we're not at the point where I don't know, I need to keep it funny. I need to keep it, I want people to feel good when they close the book, not completely ripped in half. So
Yeah.
I want them to be encouraged
Yeah.
and to, again, like, look at themselves and their current husband, current husband, and look at their husband and be encouraged by it.
Yeah. And I think you do that incredibly well in the book. One thing you said generic, but the word that came to my mind was relatable. Like the struggles that the main character is going through is incredibly relatable. And I definitely felt a lot of what she was feeling in the book. And it's not this like, big heart-wrenching thing. It's just the day in, day out, especially in that stage of life that she's in with the young kids, like, so that is so relatable and really very humorous. I think, like, you nail the humor there for sure.
I think the
Um,
humor depends on your hormone cycle. Like, I had a little snafu on social media, and I apologize for ruffling feathers, but I didn't anyway. I Someone didn't find it funny. They left a review not finding it funny, and I thought about it, and I thought it probably just depends on your hormone cycle. Like,
yeah.
things that, and then I felt bad because a lot of the humor comes from painful things, like, ooh, like the messes and the kid, like, your back getting thrown out just at the wrong when you're trying to get to church, and the kid vomiting in the van. It's like these,
Yeah.
they're painfully funny, but there's probably some parts of my cycle where I would just be pained by it. But most of the time, I think it's hilarious. Like, I was cracking myself up. I still laugh sometimes thinking about some of the things in the book.
Yeah. So I thought the Bible study group that you wrote was so funny and so on point. Like I was thinking about the women's Bible study groups that I've been in, and I was just like, Sarah nailed this. It was so funny. And honestly, it's not often that you read Christian fiction that can poke fun a little bit of some of the nuances of Christian culture without being irreverent. Do you know what I'm saying? I think
Yeah.
that you did that very well in a way that's
Okay,
not
good.
like uh, over the top or going too far, in my opinion.
Okay, good. Yeah, you just never know how it lands. That's what I mean, I know it, but it's like I learn it more every day that like you write something one way, but it lands a different way. Like
Sure.
and it's
Yeah.
gonna land differently depending on what's happening in someone's life. And
Sure. Yeah, that's
um
true of every book. Yeah.
yeah. But and I have a Bible study group and I worry about what they think. Like there is not a single character based on a character in the Bible study group. I promise.
Did you tell them that? Did you tell them that?
Kind of have said it, like, there's a Bible study group, but it's not y'all. But I mean, I got kind of the vibe from because I've been in this group and the joke of the book is it's like a Bible study book club because you're not really studying the Bible, you're studying random books that have to do with the
Mm-hmm.
Bible. And I never know what to call it
Right.
because we always call it Bible study, but I'm like, we're not studying the Bible. We're studying books about the
Right.
Bible. So this whole series, I mean, I'm like almost done with the second book and I still don't know what to call it. And so it's just kind of a joke of like the Bible study book club.
Right.
Uh,
Right. I love
but
it.
yeah, I mean, it is, and yeah, and they all have vastly different personalities that are very, you can see, you know these people, and we are these
Totally.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we are these, and like there's a little bit of me probably in every one of them. Like even the ones that are less desirable at the moment, I'm like, I've totally done that.
Yeah.
Like
Definitely.
winning Wendy, always one upping everybody, and I'm like, I've probably one upped people. That's probably me. I am probably the
Yeah.
winning Wendy, and I am sorry to everyone.
I related a lot to a lot of the undesirable aspects of people in the Bible story, but just the book in general. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I need to grow." And that's a beautiful thing too about fiction is you can see yourself in that and see how you need to grow. And I love
Well, I just wrote a scene for the next book. It was a Bible study scene, and I was
nice.
cracking up. So anyway, get ready. There is more Bible study. So
I
anyway,
love
it's
it.
fun.
Yeah. Okay, you mentioned that it's hard to market a book that's
It
about
is.
an already married couple. Have you figured that out? Like, how do you
No.
how do you market your book? Like, what do you call it?
So it's been hard. I will say, like, as an aside to this, I am seeing more and more of these books come out. And it's actually really cool because I believe God is laying this on a lot of writers' hearts. Like it's not just me. And I'm seeing it in the secular world too. A lot more books about married people coming out. And so I'm thrilled. Unfortunately, I'm seeing more in the secular world the not so clean romance. I read one that was hilarious, but it was so like I almost put it down so many times because it was not clean, but I wanted to read it for the market research of like this is what I want to be because it was all about like restoring a marriage. Um anyway, so I am starting to see this grow and I think God is putting it on people's hearts. But when it comes to marketing, so far, the trope names I have heard are Marriage Redemption, which just sounds kind of nice, I guess. It doesn't sound like desirable to me, but Marriage Redemption and Marriage in Crisis, which makes me throw up in my mouth a little bit. And so, and we're supposed to be marketing based on tropes, as we discussed in the earlier episode. This is how readers are choosing books, and this is
Right?
how authors are marketing books. And
Yeah.
so, I, from the beginning, had this idea for a trope name rekindle romance.
I love
I
it.
think yes. Isn't that so like, yeah, I wanna read about rekindle romance.
Yeah.
That's so cute. That's so
I
much
love
more
that. That's perfect.
encouraging than marriage in crisis.
Right.
Ugh, who wants that?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
so
point.
if we could all start marketing this trope as rekindle romance, I would appreciate it. 'Cause there's just it right, it feels good. Like,
Yeah.
it feels, like,
Totally.
kinda swoony and sweet, and, oh, I wanna read about a rekindle romance story.
Yeah.
So that is my goal. We're starting a new trope name. Help me, please.
I love it. Let's do it. Rekindle romance.
Yes.
Well, if you haven't read All the Things That Come Between Us, Go read it. Go read A Rekindled Romance.
Yeah. And no, the next book is coming pretty soon, and I am so excited about it. Are we ready to do 5-star reads, or is there
Let's
something
do our
else?
5-star reads. Yeah.
All right. Okay, well, I will go first. So I actually mentioned this one at the end of the year. Um, but this is my 5-star read for a Rekindle romance book. As
Okay.
I said, most of the ones I have read so far, for me, they just go too deep and painful. And so what I loved about this one is, I mean, it was a real crisis, but like I don't know, it was just really balanced with humor and hope. So you didn't feel like, I don't know, you didn't feel ripped in half the whole time. You laughed a lot. And it was called
Nice.
This Life by Jennifer Rodewald. Highly recommend.
That sounds good. Well, my 5-star read for Rekindled Romance is All the Things That Come Between Us by Sarah Hickner. I think that this book, it's hilarious, it's relatable, it has Christian themes that I absolutely think will draw you closer to God, and it's just sweet and fun and a good read. I like don't want to give anything. Okay, so one of the things that I love about the book is the friendship
Yeah.
aspect, which I do think I really like that and appreciate that in fiction when there are good, like just sisterhood, like
Mhm.
ride or die kind of relationships. And I love how that's depicted so relatably in your book. And I know that the best friend in book one is the main character in book two. So you're going to like fall in love with these people and just
Yeah.
want to read their journeys.
All right. Well, I'm closing it out this time. I
Yes,
never
you
close it
are.
out. Okay. Oh my gosh, I won't scroll. My screen is frozen. Okay, guys, I'm just going to make up the closing. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Clean Romance podcast, where clean romance shines. And we normally ask you to subscribe, but we're going to ask today, if you enjoyed this episode and if it impacted you, would you please consider sharing it with a friend who also loves clean romance and would love to hear more about the impact that romance has on our marriages? Thank you all so much for tuning in, and happy reading.
Happy reading.
I felt like Vanna White.